October 1st is fast approaching, the day when the CARES Act aid expires for airlines. Company CEOs have said the industry could face tens of thousands of furloughs if no extension is approved. I want to get over to Phil LeBeau right now, who joins us with more. Phil.
Andrew, you're looking at least 30,000 airline employees are scheduled to lose their jobs starting on Thursday. Now, that depends on whether or not there is an extension of a CARES Act. We heard Elon Musk talking about that earlier this morning. Yesterday, United Airlines announced that it had reached a deal with its pilots union, and that deal means that they're going to be laying off or furloughing fewer than 12,000 employees. Originally, it was supposed to be closer to 16,000. That's because they were able to, with this deal, prevent about 2,850 pilots from being furloughed on Thursday. What is the agreement between United and its pilots? Basically comes down to this. The pilots agree to fly fewer hours, so essentially a pay cut, but their jobs are going to be guaranteed until next June. 58% of the pilots at United approved this change. Meanwhile, you've got American Airlines. It has announced the largest number of scheduled furloughs, 19,000 scheduled to start on Thursday. American is also scheduled to borrow $5.5 billion from the Treasury Department. That's the other deadline that's coming up. That is tomorrow, when airlines have to commit to whether or not they take a loan from the Treasury Department, or if they say, no, we're not going to do that. As you look at the passenger levels, keep in mind that what we're seeing here is passenger levels, they've leveled off between 65 and 70%. And at that level, the airlines are definitely going to have to become smaller. So the question becomes, does the government step in with some type of payroll aid? Take a look at shares of Southwest and Delta. And why are we showing you this? Both of these airlines, along with Spirit, they are foregoing Treasury loans. They have said, no, we are not going to be borrowing this money from the Treasury Department. We're still waiting to hear from several of the airlines. So far, American and United have both committed to taking Treasury loans. So the next couple of days will be really interesting, guys.
Hey, Phil, question for you, and I hope it's not a curveball here. Could you ever imagine an environment that's so challenged in the airline industry that there would be more consolidation, meaning the government would allow more consolidation given the circumstances of the industry?
Possibly, but not much more. I think that most people within the industry, when you talk with them, believe that the feeling is that you're at the right size in terms of the number of carriers right now. But there could be some on the edge there. Do you see a deal perhaps where somebody consolidates with a JetBlue or consolidates with an Alaska? That's a possibility. But remember, right now, American, Delta, United, and Southwest, they control more than 80% of the market. So you're not going to see one of them snap up an Alaska Airlines, because right. I think that the regulators would say, wait a second, now that's really becoming too large.
And real quick, the reason that some of those airlines that you mentioned earlier are not taking the loans is because they think that the warrants are too onerous? What's the rationale?
Combination of the warrants being perhaps something that they don't want because it would be dilutive to shareholders, but also they believe that they can get to where they need to be strictly by doing this in the private market. And it gives them a little more optionality in terms of, as they're repaying it, restructuring those debts down the road. That's the key right now for a number of these carriers. And also keep in mind, with both Southwest and Delta, they have a number of employees, a sizable number of employees, who have decided to take unpaid leaves of absence. And so at this point, they believe, let's do it in the private market. Look, if things continue to be terrible 6 months from now, and the government has to, step in again, they've got a little bit of wiggle room there in that they haven't already taken as much debt out as their competitors.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.